diversity no matter a person's group, class, or category. Apple seems to have had a lot of these values instilled in it from the beginning. Was that part of your personality, your ethics? Where did that come from?
Everyone who ever started Apple or anyone I ever met who was a key person in Apple, never once did I hear the least bit of talk that was discriminatory, only the opposite, not totally for diversity. Very early on, back in the late 70s, we would not sell computers into South Africa. And I felt that was actually wrong. I was probably the one that was on the other side. I felt, no, you should try to keep communication channels open to help change South Africa's views on things. But I was probably wrong because in the end, it was the world economic pressure that helped get a fairness thing done in South Africa. Never once at Apple to this day have I ever heard someone talk in a discriminatory sense, or even use a word anger is so rare. It's just unheard of. Now we have, when you talk about diversity, Silicon Valley. When I grew up, it was just totally white America. Now it's one of the most diverse areas in America. It's one of 10 counties in the United States, Santa Clara County, non-English at home. And it's Korean, Chinese, languages, Japanese, Vietnamese. It's all the brainiac countries that came in to be part of the computer revolution. So that's what we're like, and no, I don't see any discrimination there. They've done some studies recently saying that we have a little bit of gender lack of, we don't, not as many women are in technology, but it's not from deliberate discrimination of any type. We go the opposite way, if anything.
So education has been a continuous thread in your life. What ignites your passion for education?
Education is important to me because when I was growing up and was young, my father instilled in me, I think, great fear that if you didn't get education, you wouldn't have a life, you wouldn't be able to afford a home, you wouldn't be able to have food, you wouldn't be able to have a family and a wife. And oh my gosh, school became very important to me. I was also lucky to have a high IQ. So I thought that my teachers were the important people in my life as I grew up. You hear a lot of smart people, or a lot of dropouts say that the teachers were kind of worthless to them. But I never spoke that way one time ever. I go back, I'm so thankful for all the institutions of my life. After we started these personal computer companies, out of college to do it. They didn't have college degrees. And Steve Jobs and Steve never really went to college for real. And I had 3 years done, but I was earning money so I wouldn't burden my parents. And so we didn't have college degrees, but I'm the one who actually felt it was important enough to symbolize in a way. So I went back for my final year of college. After Apple was a big success, I used a fake name. I used Rocky Raccoon Clark. And that's what it says on my Berkeley diploma. And always got to keep a little bit of fun about things. So no, and I praise it. But you know what? More than anything else, I think back to education is a good holding spot. University, at the very least, you're learning how to solve large projects, how to go through books and learn things. They may not necessarily apply to the work you eventually do. Very little of math or science or engineering I ever took in the university actually applied to the work I did at Apple, but it gets you, learning how to learn things, learning how to solve big problems, learning how to work for a long time towards a goal and achieving it. And you know what? These days, if you're taken care of by parents or something, it's a nice holding spot to wait you on your own time. Don't waste your free time. Use it to develop yourself in the ways you really want to, even if it's not in your university courses. There's books on everything in the library, and I took advantage of that quite a bit.